Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Contempo Coding live stream. If you are here live, drop in the comments where you are watching from today. And if you are watching us on the replay, which is awesome, and I'm glad that you're here, hit me up with a hashtag replay so I know who is on my replay crew. Today, we are going to be diving into some of the things that are working for 2026, some of the things that are maybe not working as well as we were hoping. CPC prep, training, what content's coming up, what Victoria's got planned. My schedule, I'm already going over my 2026 schedule, you guys, and I'm overwhelmed looking at it. And of course, we're going to cover some Q&A. As always, if you find this video helpful, don't forget to hit that share button to let all your friends know that you're watching, and as well as the like and subscribe so you never miss a live stream or never miss an episode. Let's get started with today's live stream. I forgot to bring in my TikTok crew. I gotta grab them. I got my mic here. We're good. We're good. We'll bring in TikTok while I'm heading you guys out with the intro video. All right, guys, coming in here today from cold but lovely northeastern Pennsylvania. Welcome to the Contempo Coding live stream. I am wondering where you guys are coming in from today. I'm going to be traveling this year. Let me tell you what, I think I might actually wind up going to Dallas twice. I'm getting all of my things confirmed for HealthCon 2026. So that should be happening soon. Getting all that ready, getting that hotel set up. I'm supposed to go to Vegas, I think. I have to go to Florida a couple of times. It's going to be good. It's going to be a good time. So yeah, I'm excited about all the things coming up. Let me know if I'm going to see you guys at HealthCon. I'm going to be collaborating with the AEPC for a couple of more things. Yeah, okay. Well, you're here from Dallas. That's where we're having HealthCon 2026 this year. It's going to be a good one because I'm going to be there doing all kinds of fun stuff, hanging out. I don't know. I might have to tap some people on the shoulder. I think I need to maybe like set something up with my buddies over at NamUs and be like, I need to come be your booth babe for a little bit. And that way everyone kind of knows where I'm centrally located, where I'm going to be. We got someone coming in from York, Pennsylvania. I actually am not too far off from York, Pennsylvania. I'm over in Berks County. I have been virtually, I think I might have spoken virtually at the York chapter, but I have not been there physically yet. I know the chapters are the local chapters of the AAPC. I think they only have to do like two in-person meetings now per year. And I know some of them are a little funny about that. Let's see. I'm trying to get my mics working so I can bring in the TikTok crew. Because I have to bring them in from a whole separate setup. Let's see if I can get them going. There we go. I don't want to leave them high and dry. Coming in from Southern Ohio, new to this, past CPC right before Christmas. Not trying to get that A off before certification, but applying to jobs. Absolutely. So I actually learned about a new job website recently, Handshake. I don't know, has anyone used Handshake before? Because that seems like it's supposed to be more geared towards, I guess, college students, but it looks like a fairly valid one. I'm always looking for more resources. My top job search tips are, you have to check Indeed.com, you have to check Google Jobs, LinkedIn, AAPC job boards. So if you haven't checked those yet, jobs.aapc.com. And Search for the term ICD-10 because that'll bring up all of the jobs that are looking for someone who has maybe skills in ICD-10 CM, but might not necessarily be medical coding positions. Let's see here. I'm getting up. Sorry. Trying to get those TikToky people. Totally forgot about that ahead of time. If you are on YouTube and you're coming in here from Facebook or wherever, LinkedIn, you should follow me on TikTok because every now and then I post some stuff or go live on TikTok like exclusively because I like the TikTok crew. All right, we're bringing them in. We're bringing them in. Good morning. I was curious. My school sent me 2025 books. How long into 2026 do I have until I cannot use them anymore on the exam? You can use them throughout all of 2026. The date that you can no longer use 2025 books will be January 1 of 2027. So with the AAPC, at least for their certification exams, AHEMA is a little different because I know they have different deadlines of like AHEMA will let you take the 2025 exam through a certain period of time. They're different. When we're talking about AAPC exams, though, they go by calendar year. And with books, they will allow you to use either the current calendar year or one calendar year prior. So that means through the entirety of 2026, you can use the 2026 books or you can use 2025 books. You can't use 2024, 2023, etc. You also throughout 2026 can't use the 2027 books. Towards the end of the year, we start getting new books for the next year, right? So in October 1 is when we switch over ICD-10 CM. So a lot of us start getting our ICD-10 CM books in like September. But you're actually not allowed to use those until the calendar year switches over for the exam. Dun, 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 finally got my TikTok crew in. Thank goodness. I missed you guys. Okay. Am I on Blue Sky? Not yet. Is Blue Sky one of the more Twittery ones, one of the more Instagrammy ones? Is it one of the more video ones? I'm not sure yet. I don't know if you guys noticed, I've been doing a lot. So I'll make videos and the same video will go on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. I'm getting out there. I'm getting out there. But yeah, and speaking of getting out there, yeah, so I'm going to a health information conference. I'm just getting that settled up in March, I want to say. And then I have HealthCon Dallas. I'm not sure what other conferences to go to. I don't want to like go to just everything, but I also do want to do some more coverage, get out, meet some people this year. Yeah. So I don't know what other than like I know the big ones, AAPC and AHEMA. AHEMA conference is in Chicago this year. I don't know that I necessarily want to go to Chicago. I have to go to New York City a couple of times. My kid is obsessed with Hamilton. It's her hyperfixation movie right now. And she's turning 14 in a couple of months. And I thought, well, for her birthday, maybe I'll take her up to see Hamilton. Those tickets are expensive, y'all. Crazy. Question coming in from Madalena Leonard. Comment. I want to thank you for all the videos. This really helped me be more confident. Yeah, I'm working on a lot. I'm grinding this year. And not because I'm like, oh, I gotta, work really like I've just been really into the projects that I've been doing. Like really super into all the stuff I've been creating and setting up some stuff to really pound out a lot of content this year. So the New York, someone on TikTok's asking, why do you have to go to New York for AAPC? The AAPC stuff's not related to that. So the New York stuff is just for fun. I have to go to a lot of stuff this year, but it's just a lot of travel this year. So some conference stuff, some professional stuff, some personal stuff. I'm going down to, I think I'm going to make an attempt to go to the FAHEMA conference this year, the Florida Health Information Management Association. AHEMA. Oh yeah. Someone says, wait for AHEMA 2027. It's here in Phoenix. Better vacation. Yeah. I don't know that Chicago's a huge destination point for me. Jessica coming in from Instagram says, "What do you do with all the books from previous years?" That is a great question. When it comes to what to do with previous year's books, there are some training institutes or colleges that might like to collect some of them depending on how old they are. For example, when I did my medical billing and coding training, I did it in Reading, Pennsylvania, which is a pretty impoverished area. And back then, they didn't even require you to like purchase books because it wasn't necessarily a coding training. It was more like an insurance training that I started out with. And they had a bookshelf in the very back of the room, and that's where you would borrow your coding books from when you were doing your coding cases. So sometimes some of those training places or colleges or tech schools might accept donations of older books. Other than that, I personally only keep, I think, the previous year's books, and then I just recycle them. Um, I've seen some people do paper crafts with them. They've made wreaths and stuff like that, so that is an option, but I think most people that do recycle them. Depending on what work you're doing, you might wanna keep a couple of years prior. I know some people that do audits, and they're like, "Yeah, no, I wanna keep my paper books for the next past 7 years." I don't have that much space in my house to keep that many books. And most, encoder programs now, so your digital code lookup tools, you can set it back to different years. So you can see what the codes were in 2022. You can see when codes were deleted or added, like, they give you that background information. So, yeah, I would say unless you have someone specific that you can donate them to, you just recycle them. Yeah. Someone says, "Do I go to ChiaCon?" I'm not familiar with that one. I'm also a nerd, and I go to, like, anime conventions, especially now that I have a daughter and she's, like, the next generation and into it. She likes to cosplay, so I have I have a couple of anime conventions I need to go to as well as the medical coding conventions. Coming in, I am a computer coder. What is medical coder? So medical coder isn't like programming or software programming. It is a language that we use or a code set that we use that translates medical diagnoses, medical procedures, services, equipment, and we use it more so for billing. Like coding and billing are very hand in hand. Now, coding serves purposes outside of billing, but that's the big one that people like to think of. You need all of those diagnoses on a claim form to go, okay, yeah, we had this service, and here's the diagnoses that are related to it that support why we had to do this service. So, for example, if a patient comes in and they have like a breast augmentation, insurance will pay for that if it's medically necessary, like if the patient had breast cancer or some sort of tumor that needed to be removed and they needed to reconstruct the breast. But if it's just for cosmetic purposes, then they're not going to reimburse that for their medical insurance. So that's how we differentiate that. We also use it for tracking and trending. So seeing like if a patient has, we have different codes for all kinds of specified types of diabetes. So maybe a patient starts out with just plain diabetes mellitus, but then they develop, all kinds of complications of the diabetes. We can track like, well, out of a pool of 100 patients with diabetes, how many are we anticipating are going to develop complications? Okay, well, these complications, how much do they cost? And then, what services are they going to need? So we can do budgeting and also population health. Yeah, less ones and zeros, more electronic medical records, I would say. Nikki says, "Did my question get answered?" Let me scroll up, Nikki, and see. Do you think flashcards are a good tool to use? So I think it depends on what you're studying at the time if flashcards are a good thing to use. So if you're practicing your practical medical coding, flashcards aren't really going to do much for you. When we're practicing our coding accuracy and speed, we really need to be working more so on cases. Flashcards are really good though for things like terminology, like medical terminology or abbreviations. Some of your compliance things you might be able to, or maybe ICD-10 CM guidelines. But I think that flashcards for if you're, like, for example, studying for the CPC exam, I think flashcards will maybe only help you with 15% of what you would need to know for the CPC exam. I think they would only be helpful for a smaller portion of it. Was it very hard for you when you started? Is it a real challenge? Asks Keith. So I've been in this industry for a while. So when I got started personally was a different landscape than it is now. I think when you're learning any new skill or any new task, it's going to be difficult, especially if it's something that's going to be really worthwhile, right? And the level of difficulty depends. There's some people that, if they're learning a skill, even like cooking, you ever see that TV show, The Worst Cooks in America? Like you give them expert instruction and somehow they just can't get it. I think widely speaking, and I think as a general overall, medical coding isn't the most difficult thing in the world. I think an average intelligence person can pretty easily learn medical coding, but it's also a commitment. How much do you want to commit to this? Are you looking to learn something that you can get done in a week? Well, then medical coding's probably not the right choice. It's not something that you can bang out in a weekend, like maybe learning some different Microsoft programs or something. It is something that you really do have to commit. You have working in healthcare, you have to understand medical terminology and anatomy. That's going to come into play as you're interpreting medical records and assigning diagnoses and assigning procedure codes and all of that. So I think it's reachable for most people, but you do have to make that commitment. And it is not going to be, a quick and easy thing to do. Hey, TikTok crew. I don't even know what's going on in TikTok these days. So I wind up getting all of these things that say I'm getting hearts, they're in the fan club, the number 3 viewers, and then I finish my live stream and it's like, "Congratulations, Victoria, you made 3 cents." I'm like, "All right, TikTok." But yeah, today's live stream is actually sponsored by Preppy, which is the medical billing and coding training program that I do recommend. So hold on one second. So I can get the banner up. And I apologize. I know this will look weird on the vertical chat and TikTok. You won't get to see it at all. But if you've been thinking about medical billing and coding and you're looking for a program that's going to be flexible, it's legit. Preppy is honestly one of the easiest ways that you can get started. They have a medical billing and coding program that is 100% online. It is self-paced and is designed to get you job ready, even if you are brand new to healthcare, like you've never worked for a hospital or a doctor's office or anything before. You can enroll online. You can start the exact same day. And most students finish in about like 4 to 6 months, sometimes faster. Like if you're fresh out of high school and you're doing this, and you have nothing else going on, like you can finish a lot faster. Their curriculum aligns with the current AEPC guidelines, and it does prepare you for certifications like the CPC. You also get a certificate from an accredited university, plus job assistance and even externship opportunities. So it's very straightforward. It's affordable. It is built for real life, and it is very budget friendly. So I have the link for Preppy. Hold on. Yep, there we go. On the live stream and TikTok, if you go to preppy.org, you can find out more about Preppy's billing and coding training there. I almost hit the button to end the stream instead of the one to move the banner. Yeah, Kelly says she went through Preppy and she's taking her CPC exam in a couple weeks. Practicode, yay or nay? Really on the fence, and it seems both positive and negative antidotes. I am not necessarily trying to fast track my A removal, but looking to have some more coding experience. So what I'll say about Practicode is, I believe, 600 medical coding cases. You have to complete them at a 70% accuracy in order to um, qualify to get that 1-year removal of your apprenticeship status. Now, what I want to say, because I was just on the website yesterday looking at this, because I haven't purchased a Practicode package in a couple of years, and I think they switched over to Practicode 2.0 since then. I'm fairly certain I only am familiar with the older Practicode. But let's go over here because I wanna set some expectations when it comes to Practicode, right? So it's very worth it if you're looking to fast track getting your A removed. If you're just looking to get some coding experience, I think it's fairly worthwhile as well. But I want to share something in regards to Practicode when we look at it at the AEPC website. So let me do share screen. Here we go. Okay, so when we are looking at the Practicode website and we are over here and we're looking at the Practicode for the new coders because they have like specialty modules. If you just want to pay them, I think like $60, $50, something like that, and do a bunch of cases in like general surgery, there's that Practicode. But when we kind of look at the information that they have about the Practicode for removing your apprenticeship for a CPCA, um, it it has some disclaimers on it. So it tells you about like this is not to teach you medical coding. It gives you 18 months of access, but they have this whole thing about Practicode support, right? So when we look at what is outlined here by the AEPC, it helps us set some realistic expectations of what we should expect out of Practicode, what it is and what it is not. And it starts with the availability of the instructor. So it says the availability and responsiveness of the experts to the online communication varies depending on a number of factors, such as the volume of questions submitted and the research required to properly respond to the question. While after hours responses will occur, most replies take place between 24 to 48 hours between the receipt of the request. And there's a lot of stuff about like the availability of support, and they're just gonna give you email responses. They might even have, certain questions that they get commonly and just copy and paste them. So, you know, when we're talking about Practicode, it's not gonna be it's as they say here, it's a non-coached course. So you can email in questions, but it's gonna take a while for them to get back to you. So a lot of people get frustrated because, you're sitting there and you wanna get your practico done and you're looking at that case right now and you're like, "Ah, this is so frustrating. I think this might be wrong or I'm not getting it right. Like, I want someone to help me out." But you have to understand, like, they can't support someone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at that expert level. That would cost a ton of money, and they would have to probably increase the cost of Practicode in order to provide that kind of support. Now, there are, from what I understand, some support groups on Facebook that can help you with Practicode. Um, I've not been in them myself, but I've been told that they're out there. And there's also some packages with the AEPC that I think they give you like a coaching with Practicode, but that is like $5,000 plus trading. Like you can't buy that out separately. It's not like a separate carve out. They only offer that when you give them like the top tier money for their top tier program. Question coming in from YouTube. Is there a live online class option you can recommend? Since I'm beginner, I feel like self-paced won't work for me. So live online versus live in person. Because live in person, we might be able to find, right, with like a community college tech school. Although you have to be careful with those because sometimes they will charge you a ridiculous amount of money. I used to teach at a tech school, and the day that my students told me how much they were paying, like my jaw hit the floor. So what you can do is the AEPC does offer something where you meet via Zoom, I believe, twice a week. So when we look at that, training and events, you can just do the CPC. You can also do the CPC and CPB, which gives you billing and coding. But again, two certification training is going to be more than one. So if we go to the CPC prep course, what you're probably looking for is the instructor led. So live meetings, I think it says 16-week online training led by APC faculty. And it includes lots of stuff, Practicode, code lookup with Codify, practice exams, certification exam attempt, and that is $3,549. So I would recommend that one if you're looking for one where you meet via Zoom with someone. And they do have not only instructors, they have, what do they call them? Teachers' aides, and those people help you out with questions as well. I will warn you, I have had some people tell me that they've signed up, though, for the instructor-led and that their particular instructor was just sending them links to my videos. So, I'm sure some people, though, aren't getting that experience. They're getting much, much better experiences, but, as with anything, the experience varies. It's like, you go to McDonald's one day and get a cheeseburger and it's perfect, and then you go the next day to a different McDonald's and it's like, "What the heck is this?" I'm assuming. I haven't been to McDonald's really in a while, but I am weirdly not a fast food person. I like me a good, like, Wendy's baked potato, but I'm not a fast foodie person. Claudia asks, "Hi, I just joined. I'm testing this month for my CBCS through the NHA. What videos of yours would help me prepare and what study tools?" So I have not taken the CBCS. I'm not super familiar with it. Um, Most employers for medical coding positions require certification through AEPC or AHEMA. So if you have one through the CBCS, that's only going to be accepted in little pockets of areas. So for example, I don't wanna just say, like, "Don't do this, don't do that," or badmouth, the NHA or what have you. But when I get into I just wanna make sure that I'm not gonna do anything it's not gonna pop up anything weird as I'm doing this. Okay. So if I go into Indeed.com and I type in CPC, which is the top medical coding certification for profi coding, I can find 900 plus jobs right now that are looking for someone that has a CPC certification. Even if I do maybe like CPMA, which is the auditing certification through the AEPC, 25 plus jobs. So there's people in there who are looking for the CPMA. And this is just remote. If I do CBCS, I've got 2 jobs. So when I say people want AAPC or HEMA certifications, it's you can prove that just by doing some quick job search. The CCS, which is the coding certification through AHEMA for inpatient coding, has 400 plus jobs. So not saying that there's anything wrong with the CBCS, but when we're talking about what employers are looking for, and we're talking specifically too about medical coding certifications, they want certifications through AAPC or AHEMA. Now, some training programs or educational institutions partner with the NHA to get, I think, like discounted certifications to kind of include in their training package, which, hey, if you want to do that, that's fine. But I am telling you, if you are looking specifically to pursue a medical coding position, go with your CPC or maybe the CCSP through AHEMA. Question coming in from TikTok: "Can I use my 2025 coding books to take the CPC certification this year?" Yes, you can. You can use 2025 books still throughout all of 2026. But once we hit 2027, then they're no longer allowed to be used. So if you're required through a school or something to take the CBCS, first off, like, I don't understand why. But yeah, you definitely, if you are looking for a medical coding position, you need to get a certification through AEPC or AHEMA. That is what employers accept for medical coding certifications. They do not accept the CBCS except for a couple of small pockets of organizations here and there. Question coming in from TikTok from Mama Shia: "Have you ever worked with someone using med certs? I'm a military spouse." I've heard a mixed bunch of responses in regards to med certs. I don't think it's a necessarily bad program. It's not like a top tier program, and I think it's one where you probably have to do some additional support yourself. You might need to buy some additional study guides if you're going for a certification. You might need to buy some practice exams. You might need to do a little bit of research. You might need to look up some YouTube videos. So I think it'll give you, I'm sure, a foundational training, but from what I hear, it's not super robust. If you're getting it at a discount or getting it for free, like, go for it. So first complete the course on Preppy, then sign up for the certification on AAPC. Yep, that is what the plan should be. When I talk about like medical coding certifications, right? So the medical coding certifications, they kind of work a little bit the way that like an LP, like imagine you're going to school to become an LPN, right? Your degree is not an LPN degree, it's a practical nursing degree. And that's great, but most people aren't gonna wanna hire you until you pass that NCLEX and get that LPN, get your license number and all that. So medical coding is kind of the same way. That's cool that you have your training, but in order for you to be someone that people are gonna wanna hire, you need that certification. And there is no training program that in and of itself gets you certified. You get a certificate of completion from a lot of them, but when we're talking about those credentials, that CPC, you have to sit through a 4-hour proctored examination and pass it at 70%. That is the only way to become a CPC or a certified professional coder. There is no training program in and of itself, even the one officially from the AEPC that's like, you complete the training and now you're a CPC. You can only obtain that through sitting through a 4-hour proctored examination and passing it. Will AI affect medical coding jobs, please? It's gonna affect everything. So I don't think medical coding is really, immune to that. There's a lot of parts of our jobs, like everyone else's jobs, that are going to be faster, bigger, better, stronger, with AI, and there's also gonna be parts where AI is gonna get stuff wrong. There's certain simple things that I can plug into ChatGPT and it picks out a code. And then there's other things that I've plugged into ChatGPT and been like, what are you even talking about, my guy? Like, this is way off, like totally wrong. Steph asks, is it hard to get a job once you pass? I'm going to be very honest with you guys about this. The job market right now as a whole is not great. So I can't tell you that it's going to be easy to get a medical coding job because it's not easy to get, I think, just about any job right now. Um, Preppy says, no textbook. Do we not need to buy the code books as well? No, you don't. If you want them, you can buy them, but it's not something you 100% need to buy. When you sit for the CPC exam, you have 2 options. You have the option to say, "Hey, I'm gonna bring my paper books, my ones that I love, and I put under my pillow at night and sleep with because having the paper book makes me feel comfy and whole, and I tabbed them and I colored them, and I love my paper books." You can absolutely buy paper books and take them with and use them. There's limitations about what kind of books you can use and years and publishers and what you're allowed to write in them and all that. Option 2 is you can elect to use eBooks. And the eBooks are nice because they have a little search button in them and you can just type in blah, 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 and help find codes faster using that search function. Now, you can't use the eBooks that you have with Preppy. The AEPC is going to embed eBooks automatically in your exam platform because they don't want you logging on to miscellaneous other websites and stuff. That's hard to manage, especially if people are like, "Yeah, I have an ebook," and it's from some off the wall thing, and maybe, they put stuff in there that they weren't supposed to or whatever. That's a hard thing to track. So they will automatically embed the CPT, the ICD-10 CM, and the HCPCS books into your exam platform to utilize. So when you redeem your exam voucher, let's say you buy one and it's $425, you elect to use eBooks, it's only going to cost you $425 to use those eBooks for your exam. There's no upcharge or additional cost. If you want to use those specific eBooks, though, outside of that, because Preppy gives you a different version of the CPT book than the one that you can use for the certification exam. If you wanna buy that specific ebook and use it outside of that exam platform, then that's gonna cost you some money, so, yeah, there's different things right now. Spyro Love on TikTok says, "Because of this woman, I know how to actually do this correctly. So grateful for her." Thank you. Yeah, I was surprised. I've had so many people telling me recently about, main terms in ICD-10-CM. They're like, "It's 101, like, I just tell me how to figure out the main terms." And I'm like, "You know what? I'll just do a video that's just practice on how to find the main terms in ICD-10-CM." And that video really hit surprisingly. Like, it's the things that I think people who have been in this industry for 15 years sometimes forget about. Like, it's easy when you've been doing something for a long period of time to put yourself back into the shoes of someone who is learning this for the first time and learning things that have changed since you've learned for the first time. And I always try to go back and think, well, what are the people who are learning this today going to need help with? So it is looking up the main terms. It is things like tabbing your books. I've even made mistakes in the past where I'm like, I'm going to show you how to tab your books, and then I made the speed on the video really fast because I'm like, obviously, no one's going to watch me place every single tab. And people commented, and they're like, no, actually, we want to watch you place every single tab like in real time. And I'm like, oh, okay. No, I get that now, like, maybe you're following along. Yeah, so I'm very excited for that. How can I remove the A if my prior employer is only giving me proof of employment and my ex-manager is no longer in that company? So, when we look at the AEPC guidelines for removing your A, um, they have apprenticeship removal requirements. And I think this has changed wording wise a little bit and maybe gotten a little bit different over the past couple of years because now they have like templates and stuff. Um, but unfortunately, there are a couple of ways to verify your employment. Let's take a look at that. So when we're talking about employer verification, it says only employers, supervisors, or an HR department can verify time spent in coding with an organization. So those are the people that you can contact with. If you're trying to contact like an old boss or a supervisor, try the HR department. Outside of that, if you're still having problems, I would say you'd have to contact the AEPC directly with their customer service number and see what they can might maybe work out with you. Sherry asks, are the questions in the AEPC practice exam similar to what I will see on the exam? I think so. I've heard some people, though, say that they are harder. I've had some people say that they are easier. It depends. They don't recycle the same questions, but they do have multiple versions of questions of the same concept. So, for example, one of the things for years was the AEPC would like to quiz people on unusual OB cases. So not just like a nice, neat, total global package of OB care where the patient sees the same OB doctor for their prenatal, their antenatal, and their delivery. It would be something like the patient never had any prenatal care and they delivered out of state with a different doctor, and then one was a cesarean and one was a vaginal birth. So they're going to give you something crazy. So they might have 5 different versions of questions of odd OB delivery cases. One of them that might be on the practice exam, and they might have a different variant of that testing on the same concept for the CPC exam. When we talk about the CPC exam, it used to be back in the day, and you'll still see some people giving you this incorrect information. It used to be back in the day when it was on paper, they had maybe 4 different versions of it. There was a version A, B, C, and D. So, if there was if someone told you this question was gonna be on the exam, there was like a 1 in 4 chance that it might be because they only had 4 different versions of the CPC exam. However, now what we've done is the CPC exam is electronic. There's a bank of questions. So they have this huge bank of questions, and they think a question's been leaked, it gets yanked. It's done, and they make a new question and fill it in there. So they have this exam bank. It's 1,000 questions, and they're all graded as far as like, is this an easy question? Is this like a moderate kind of level question, or is this a more difficult question? And they make sure that everyone's kind of got an even distribution of like, they don't want someone getting all of the easy questions or all of the very difficult questions. And they're going to throw you 100 questions. So out of those 100 questions, it could be all kinds of different stuff, but a lot of things, if they pull one question that's on a certain concept, they might pull and put something else in that's on a very similar question on the same concept. So while you won't see the same practice exam question that you will see on the actual exam, you might see something very similar because it's kind of testing you on that exact same coding concept. Any changes to the AEPC CRC 2026 exam that you know of? That's a good question. I haven't taken a huge look at the changes. I'm sure they're probably gonna focus more on V28 this year. I might have to buy the CRC study guide and compare it. Sometimes, from year to year, I'll look at the study guides, and they don't change a lot. But CRC, it might change a little bit more this year. I'll have to take a look. But as far as, like, the structure and layout, I'm sure it'll be the same. The CRC, honestly, a lot of it is testing on some of those diagnoses that risk adjust. So they're gonna ask you a lot of questions about diabetes and, sequencing, like, the different heart conditions, different types of cancer, like, they're gonna probably test you on, like, a patient's coming in for treatment for, chemotherapy and knowing the sequencing guidelines for that. So I think as long as you're familiar with a lot of the ICD-10-CM guideline stuff, that's a huge chunk of the exam. Steph says, if I'm taking my CPC exam in February, can I use the 2025 books? Absolutely, you can use the 2025 books. You can use 2025 or 2026, but you can only use one of each. So you can't bring like a 2026 ICD-10-CM book and a 2025 ICD-10-CM book. But you can bring like a 2026 CPT book and a 2025 ICD-10-CM book. But yeah, so through all of 2026, you can still use their 2025 books. Now, there's been some code changes since then. So, if you have a question that is a code that's been updated for 2026, which the chances of that are like, you might run into a problem there. But the chances that you won't be able to answer something, and the chance that that will be like what make or breaks you passing the exam is like very minimal. Are there differences between the 2025 and 2026 books? Yes, there's been a few hundred codes that have changed, which honestly, like percentage wise, is not a lot. Sometimes you see them and you're like, oh my God, like 400 codes changed this year. But some of them might be that like they added new fracture codes, and every time they add a new fracture code, that seventh character extension alone is going to make like 8 new codes. So oftentimes it's not as huge as some people make it out to be. Bree asks, do you think someone with no anatomy and physiology experience can do the AEPC course self-study? Yes. However, I think they sometimes include prerequisites now, don't they? Because I think that switched recently. Let me double check. Trained for your exam, CPC. Let's take a look. Self-paced online training. Enroll now. So they include the prerequisites now for free. So they include midterm anatomy and pathophysiology if you sign up with the AAPC course, and Preppy includes those in their course as well. So if you don't have those, or you're enrolling in a course that you're like, hey, you know what? It says I have to take midterm and anatomy, and like, I don't really want to spend tons of money. There are midterm and anatomy, like they don't change a lot, right? So you can buy courses through, sometimes community colleges will offer things for really, really cheap. I've seen people say that they found things online through their training programs, tech schools and stuff, for sometimes even free. There's a book I recommend though. Let's see if I have it with me. So this is an older edition of the book. They have a new version, and I have it linked, I know, on YouTube. I'm not sure about the other platforms. I think most platforms like TikTok, if you go to my LinkedIn bio and go to my Amazon storefront, I know it's there. But this is called Medical Terminology and Anatomy for Coding. This is the 3rd edition. I think they're up to the 5th edition. There's really not much difference from edition to edition other than maybe some code changes, because what this book does is when it's teaching you med term and anatomy, it relates them to different coding scenarios. So when you start learning med term and anatomy with this, you start already getting that flavor of some of the medical, sorry, I have my book on my micro. Already start getting the flavor of some of the things that you might need to know for medical coding. So it's a great one. If you go to the Vital Source bookshelf, you can rent it for, I think, like $40. And if you want to buy it, you can go on Amazon and just buy the book that way. The 5th edition is the most recent. Someone says Crash Course has some great videos too. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Crash Course with the Green brothers. They absolutely is good too. Yeah, this book, Bianca, is Medical Terminology and Anatomy for Coding. Medical Terminology and Anatomy for Coding. How long would you have finish pathophysiology class? I mean, it depends. A lot of the training programs have different periods for how long they do med term and anatomy and pathophysiology. So, it's going to take some people longer or less time than others. Rachel asked, for the CCA exam, which job would that exam be best for? I'm going to be so as far as with the CCA, I know some training programs tell you to go for your CCA. If your goal though is eventually to get your CCS, I don't know why you're paying to take the CCA and then have to take the CCS and pay all those fees again and take another like similar class. A lot of people have said they don't feel the CCA with a HEMA, the Certified Coding Associate, is really worth it, and that you might as well go for the CCS. You do not have to sit through a certain program or be approved or have an accredited training to sit for the CCS. There are things that they might recommend, but they're not required. So what I would do though, if you've already taken the CCA or committed to the CCA, go into Indeed.com, go into LinkedIn and just search for CCA and see what kind of positions pop up. I don't know that there's really a differentiation between like, oh, if you take the CCA versus the CPC, like you can do these jobs, but not these jobs. There's not really that kind of a differentiation there. Are questions grouped together by section or random? I'm trying to remember based off of the last exam I took. I believe they are grouped together by section. I don't think they're random because I know when you pop open the content. So when you're taking like the CPC exam, you can flag questions and come back to them. And where you can find where your flagged questions are is on the right-hand side. It opens up like the contents and it'll show you like, here's, your E&M section and the 6 questions that we asked on E&M, and you can see which one you flagged. So I'm fairly certain that as you're going through, it kind of does them in order, but it's been a hot minute since I did one of the electronic exams, but I feel like that's the way it's kind of ordered because of the way that they structure it when I went and looked back on the content page. And the cases, if I remember correctly, are like all the way at the end. Annie asks, have you done inpatient coding? I have an inpatient coding certification. I've never actually worked though as an inpatient coder. Like I've never sat down and coded a whole inpatient stay as part of my job. So I do know some PCS coding enough to have passed the certification exam, but I've never worked as an inpatient coder. Question coming in from LinkedIn: how to prepare for the CPMA? Is it easy to pass? It is not easy to pass. I've known quite a few people who have not passed it on the first try, who have even worked in auditing. If you're looking for training with the CPMA, the AEPC does offer that on their website. You can find the exam breakdown by going to the AEPC website, going to take the exam. Oh, did they just switch this around on me? They updated the exam. And scrolling all the way to the bottom, unless they, oh, here you go. And here's the exam breakdown of what's on the CPMA. CPMA is the Certified Professional Medical Auditor. There's 17 questions on medical record standards and documentation, 21 on compliance and regulatory, 13 on coding and reimbursement concepts, 7 on scope and statistical sampling methodologies, 2 on quality assurance, 4 on communication and results and findings, and then 15 cases that total 36 questions, which is different from the CPC because with each of their cases, they only ask one question. CPMA, they have 15 cases, but they might ask you multiple questions on the exact same case. So depending on your familiarity with things like J-code documentation standards, record retention, False Claims Act, START, that's going to um, be the determining factor of how easy or hard you consider the CPMA exam. So they do outline what's on it. They used to have links here, so it might be something that you really need to, even if you've been working in auditing, at least get a study guide and some practice exams for. Make sure that if you're not familiar with the False Claims Act or you're not familiar with Stark Law, I would say like we should be doing one of these, going into Google, finding out some stuff about physician. Here we go, right there on the CMS website. Start reading through this. That's what I would be doing for that. NAMUS, which I love, the National Alliance of Medical Auditing Specialists, they do training for it, which I think is superior training, but it is more expensive training. I thought you had a CPMA course or boot camp. Not in a couple of years. I used to. So when we look at what I've got available right now, my offerings are a little slim. I'm trying to build up my library, but I'm in this weird limbo right now where I'm trying to get more content scheduled out ahead of time so that I like can sit and concentrate on making some courses for a while. So we're getting closer to that. There's some other things that have to come into play too, though. Okay, so we're on my website. This is my website, contempocoding.com. We go to courses. Right now, all I have available is my risk adjustment coding companion course, my E&M course, and my what I will call the CPC review. But sometimes they get funny if you call it a CPC review. So it's the professional coding review, the CPC review. You can get discounts on all of them if you use my code that I have right now. So my YouTube, Facebook, Instagram crew, you can use YouTube 50 at checkout, and that'll save you 50% on my courses that I have available right now. TikTok, you can use TikTok 50. You can use YouTube 50. But if you use TikTok 50 at checkout to save 50%, it helps me track who was watching me on TikTok and using the discount. But 6 of one, half a dozen of another. Right now, I do not offer CPMA training. It's not super high on the priority list. And the reason I switched up some of my offerings is if you're familiar with EPC licensing. So when you become a certified instructor through the AEPC, there's a process involved. You have to you're supposed to have 5 years, I think, of experience at least. I don't see people that always have 5 years experience passing their instructor certification, but I digress. With the instructor certification, they basically, like, if you wanna sit for an instructor for the whatever credential the AAPC has, like, we'll just say the CPC. You sit for an exam that's called the CPCI, and it is an abridged version of the CPC exam. It doesn't test you on how good of a teacher you are or teaching concepts. It's literally just like harder CPC exam cases, and you only have 50 questions versus 100, and you have 2 hours instead of 4 hours. You also have to do, like, a presentation and have people grade you on it and submit that. But what that does is once you become a certified instructor is you are now permitted to license the curriculum and the materials from the AAPC. So it's like the AAPC goes, "Here's all of the slides and the exam banks and stuff. We have you can have these, but it's gonna cost you several $1,000s. Also, each student that you teach, there's a per student fee for the course, and you have to use our books." So it's kind of expensive. To the point that when I canceled my license with the AAPC and, stopped offering their courses, like, a couple months later, my accountant emailed me, and she's like, "That made virtually no impact on your finances." Because most of the money that I was making from it was getting eaten up by licensing fees, per student fees, having to purchase the books for the students, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Um, so at some point, I might put together my own version of a CPMA review maybe, but right now I just have the CRC, the CPC, and then an E&M training available on the website. Panda Dad says, "What kind of cards charts do you code?" I've worked so right now I do pockets of little contract work here and there. Like we need someone for a couple of months part-time because, the YouTube channel now has taken up a lot of what I do. Like I more so work on the educational content, but I have to keep my feelers out and know what's going on in the industry, right? I've worked in primarily in the past plastic surgery, family practice, internal medicine, all kinds of skin, derm, wound care stuff. Um, but I've touched on just about everything. I used to be the coding supervisor at Lancaster General Health, and they had a lot of different specialties. It was like a huge chunk of like family practice, internal med, peds, and then the other half was all kinds of different surgeries. So I've touched a little bit on most things pro fee coding. So general surgery I've done bariatric surgery, urogyne, OB, like I've done a lot, but a ton of family practice. Hospitalists, I can never seem to escape. So yeah, I've done a lot of stuff, but I've not done inpatient. I've not done MSDRGs. I have an inpatient coding certification, so I know enough to be dangerous, but I've actually never worked as an inpatient coder. Nikki is asking, I decided to move forward with getting my CPC. I'm starting off with Momentix 2026-2027 study guides. Any thoughts with the study guide? Is there another study guide you recommend? I recommend the one directly from the AAPC. Unfortunately, right now, what I'm finding is a lot of people who don't even work in medical coding. They just maybe, like, I've seen a lot of ads right now for a company that does healthcare related certifications, and they have 50 of them, and they basically are using AI to generate a bunch of crap that's not even verified to sell it online, and they're promoting a lot of doing a lot of push for Facebook ads and stuff. So I would say if you're going to get a practice exams, I would get them directly from the AAPC. So AAPC website, let's see if we have it. Maybe it's under shop and books and code books, study guides. There we are. Exam prep study guides. I would get the one directly from the AAPC because I'm finding I've not even heard of Momentix, and I've heard so many just people saying that they bought things on Amazon and Etsy and from Facebook ads, and they just were not quality. So I'm really not. I don't. unfortunately, like, I don't have the money to buy every single one of them and go, "This one is bad, this one was bad, this one was good," etcetera, etcetera. I would just yeah, I would just say, get the one directly from the AAPC. They all should be updated now for 2026. I wonder if they got their new rev cycle certification one yet. I don't see it. Oh, wait, there it is, RCMS. Oh, and the value-based administrator, that's the other one. Did they get the certification out for the certification study guide out for that? Value-based administrator, value-based administrator. Yeah, I don't see that one yet, though. Boom. Chica says, "This is crazy. I just saw you on YouTube about coding." I know, I'm, like, all over the place. Annie says, "Do you have a favorite medical location that you worked for?" Ooh, I don't know. I kind of so my course of career has run to, like, I go somewhere, and then I go so hard that I burn myself out or get bored, and then I leave, and then I kind of look back, and I'm like, "Ugh." But I don't think I mean, all of the places that I've worked have had good aspects to them. Working at Penn State Health was pretty cool because they have really good benefits, um, and a lot of paid time off, which I really appreciated. And I would get not only paid time off, but I would get personal time. And if I didn't use my personal days, they would let you cash them out at the end of the year. So then I'd cash all of my personal time out and then use my PTO to go on vacation, which was cool. Chica says, "I'm interested in doing coding. Do you know a course that I can take for free or do they train?" With medical coding, it's not something that most employers are looking to train people on. There's a lot of medical coders out there. They more so want people who are kind of ready to hit the ground running. It's very rare anymore that you would find an organization that's willing to completely train you to become a medical coder. As far as free, I know I've seen some stuff on, like, AMCI's YouTube channel where they say they do a training, um, because there's some copyright considerations with the code sets, with specifically our, CPT code set, you really don't see a lot of free training. And I don't think most employers are gonna accept free training. There's people who have absolutely self-studied that they've bought the code books, they've bought the training books, they've bought the certification exams, practice exams, etcetera. Like, medical code is not really something you can do for free or cheap, especially if you're looking to do it as a job, because the AAPC membership alone is over $200 a year, and the coding certification exam is $425. So there alone is, like, over $600 just to get the certifications. Books are probably gonna rock you $300 for your code books, textbook workbooks, probably another $150. If you want practice exams, that's gonna be a couple $100. Um, so yeah, it's not a good, like, thing that you can learn for free or cheap. Clara says, "Thank you, Victoria. You're the first person I saw on YouTube when I started my career in coding. Now I have 6 certifications and going." Oh my gosh. I took your CRC course too. Thank you again. Oh, that's amazing. I'm so glad that you popped in to let me know. That's great. Yeah, yeah. All right. We are hitting 1 o'clock. So I'm just gonna take a couple more questions and then pop out for lunch. Let me hit over to my Instagram people and see what's going in. Instagram viewer says, "I have been cardiac coding catheter, especially for almost 5 years, and I'm still so nervous to take the CCC." Yeah. It's difficult when you're taking those specialty certifications because you feel like you know your stuff, but also, like, oh my God, what if I take a certification specifically for the specialty I've been working in for years and I don't pass it? So that, yeah, that definitely can be nerve wracking. Jessica Brown says, "Hi, I've been a pharmacy specialist for 10 years and now want to do coding as a career change. I'm going to start with the CPC AEPC program, but what are books I can buy to simply get familiar with coding?" I think what the AEPC is going to provide you in their program is going to be sufficient. They're going to include a textbook for you to work with. They're going to include, your prerequisites apparently now for medical terminology and anatomy. If you want something else, though, if you're like, I want a whole other textbook or something else, just to maybe get this instructed to me in a different way that maybe it'll click with me better. Um, I recommend, and again, this is an older edition. This is the Bucks Step-by-Step Medical Coding book. It's the book that I used to teach with at my local tech school. I love this one. It is my favorite textbook for learning medical coding. My local library actually has this that you can borrow it to study with. I think they have the 2025 version. So you might be able to borrow this. You might be able to find an older edition that someone got rid of. Most of the time, they don't change much from year to year unless there's a couple of codes that changed. So yeah, you can also find this on my Amazon storefront if you're interested in purchasing this. It's called Step by Step Medical Coding. There is a textbook and there is a workbook. So the textbook is the one that's going to teach you medical coding. The workbook is the one that's going to practice medical coding. Now, the one complaint that people do have, though, about this particular book is they do not include all of the answers to all of the questions and case studies and stuff. They have maybe like 80% of them probably in the back as far as answers. But there are some that they don't. And that is very frustrating for some people. But honestly, you will not find a better book to learn medical coding with. All right, guys. I think I covered everything I wanted to cover. I talked about going to HealthCon. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, yeah, a lot going on. If you're going to HealthCon 2026, you'll probably see me there. I'm hopefully going to Seattle as well. It's a long trip for me. I have a lot of problems with my legs. So, like, anytime I have to fly literally across the country, like it's very exhausting for me. I have venous insufficiency. I have lipolymphedema in my legs, so it's like, I don't want to be sitting for that long cramped up. But I'll do it. I'll do it. I might be going out to Seattle. My plan though is if I go to Seattle and I'm already on the West Coast though, I might also pop in to Disneyland. So we'll see. But in any case, thank you guys for tuning in. I will, I think, see you next week. I have another trip coming up in a couple of weeks, but yeah, I'll be here next Monday. The following Monday, I won't be because I'll be out and about, but I'll plan something else, I think, to release that day. If a YouTube short, if nothing else. I will see you guys soon. And until then, as always, keep on coding on.